Hi, I'm going to show you a couple of modifications to the exercises you have just done. Obviously, we are all different sizes, shapes, we have different anatomy, and we also have different types of back soreness or stiffness. So you can play around with these new modifications and see which one suits you. So the first exercise I gave you was stretching of your hip flexor. So the original exercise was, if we're going to stretch my left side, we're going to take the right leg forward and go forward and down and forward and down, and that was pulling to try and release that. And the original exercise was to go forward, up and over, forward, up and over. Now, that might not actually release much for you. So here is the first modification. You can make it stronger by actually going down into the kneeling position. And we'll do the same again. We will lean forward and I can feel this stretching. And then we can add the side bend at the end. So it's forward and side bend, forward and side bend. And I can feel that pulling quite powerfully on my hip flexor. The other modification, you're probably familiar with this, is a quad stretch, but we're going to modify the quad stretch. Quads means quadriceps, which is the front of the thigh muscle, and we're going to modify that to try and release deep into the spine, where of course there is a continuum of that muscle into the low back. So we'll just show you from a sideways position. I take oopsie without falling over, hold on to a wall, and at the moment you can see this thigh is quite forward. So I'm pulling back on my ankle and I'm stretching my hip backwards, so the knee's going backwards to your right as you're watching the video, and I'm just gently going to lean backwards. And the same again. And I can feel my quads start to stretch, and I can feel the stretch into my stomach. Now obviously, if you've got an injury on the left hand side, squashing into the injury may not be conducive to healing. So again, as I say, if you are an injury, maybe that wouldn't be the best one for you unless you've been told to do that. Now, the second modification was to the rib lift that we gave you. So the idea of this exercise was to lift the ribs away from the pelvis so the spine in between can breathe. So the original one was to take the fingers, pads of the fingers, push them under the ribs, lean forward and breathe up. Inside, lean forward and lift up. So again, the first modification, if this side's tighter, we take our pad, simply put it on the side and lean over and stretch and lean over. And this one, as I'm stretching, I breathe out. So I get a nice stretch on that side. You can of course do it on this side as well. And there is another way of helping to lift the ribs, but it's by working the back muscles. So we've got two strong muscles that run down the back of the back, either side of the vertebra. We're going to use our knuckles, we're going to push into that, lift up and then bend forward. So the stretch is going to happen from the level of the knuckles downwards. Let's do it. So we're going like this, taking, so I normally start from down and we'll work our way up. So we take our hands here, and as I said before, if there is an injury, avoid doing direct pressure on the injury, but I have no injury, it's just stiffness here. So we'll put our knuckles in there, lift up and lean forward. Walk it up a bit, push up and lean forward. Last one again, push up and lean forwards. So I hope those little you might find one of those modifications helpful to you.